she's made called a barricade bed, and it actually takes like a police barricade that you kind of see around New York City, or if you've ever been to a protest, you know that they're lined all along the streets oftentimes. And so she's reclaimed some of these barricades, and she's turned them into kind of, you turn them on their side, you put a mattress on top, and you kind of do a few very small minor alterations, and then it becomes this kind of comfortable bed that you can sit on. There's a lot of books with what I would say are sort of like amazingly beautiful, like 90s, early 2000 covers and color schemes. So I'm kind of interested in a way in like looking back at the way that technology and feminism have been discussed in relationship to one another. And the book is, of course, this like vehicle of knowledge, which is like very timeless. And I think all of these books are worth spending time with and reading. But on the other hand, I think that some of them become like these really like amazing kind of like articulations of like a certain moment in time. So I'm kind of interested in like that sort of double life of the object in that way, where you kind of have kind of really recalls a certain moment in time and a way of thinking about something like cyberfeminism that maybe we wouldn't formulate things the same way today, like we wouldn't have maybe the same aesthetic language necessarily to talk about it. Of course, any kind of idea that's been around for a few decades has changed over time, and it's sort of contested. Some artists who have worked under the framework of cyberfeminism have kind of left that as a designation for their work or their practice in the past, and some artists are very adamant about saying that no, in fact, that is a term that they will still use into the present to talk about what they do. So I wanted to think about that question a little bit, right? So how do you look back at something from, say, starting in the early 1990s, and now here we are several years later, and so some of the questions are still the same, right? Of course, the condition of women in relationship to technology hasn't really changed that much, in my opinion, since that time. There's, still kind of a lot of questions about why the technology industry is so male-dominated that I find very bizarre to think about. When I grew up in a time where I was really taught and told that men and women were treated so equally, and then I kind of look around and I'm very confused about why there is still that kind of gender disparity in terms of the day-to-day reality of who makes our technological tools, etc. I mean, I guess my wish would be that all institutions would think about questions of equality and, to not just stop at gender either. I think that is one marker, but I think there's all